My toxic parents didn't disown me in private. They did it with a microphone in their hands and 40 guests watching. My father stood up at my own engagement dinner, cleared his throat, and announced that I was no longer part of this family. My mother didn't look shocked. She looked relieved. People froze mid-bite while he listed my failures like bullet points, my marriage, my career, my independence. He said I had embarrassed their name, that I chose a man beneath us, that from this moment forward I was on my own. What he didn't know was that I had already prepared for this moment, and by the end of that night, he would regret making it public. The country club ballroom was decorated in gold and white, fairy lights strung across the ceiling, flowers everywhere. My mother had spent months planning my engagement dinner, or so I thought. She called me every week with updates, the menu, the guest list, the color scheme. I was touched. I thought she was finally excited for me. I was so stupid. James held my hand under the table as we ate our salads. 40 people filled the room, family friends, distant relatives, my father's business partners, everyone who mattered in their world. My father stood up around 8 p.m., tapped his glass with a spoon. The room quieted. "I'd like to say a few words," he announced, smiling that practiced smile I'd seen my whole life. I squeezed James's hand, relaxed. Finally, I thought, finally they're going to welcome him properly. My father cleared his throat. "My daughter has always been headstrong, independent. She makes choices without consulting the people who know better." He paused, looked around the room. "Sometimes those choices work out. Sometimes they don't." The smile stayed on his face, but something shifted in the room. People shifted in their seats. "This engagement," he continued, "is one of those choices that doesn't work out. Not for her, not for us, not for this family." James's hand went rigid under mine. "We've tried to guide her, tried to show her what's appropriate, what's expected, what's worthy of this family's name." He looked at James for the first time, directly, cold. "She chose otherwise. She chose someone beneath her, beneath us." My mother sat perfectly still. Her face was calm, peaceful, like she'd been waiting for this moment. My father went on. "I've tried to be supportive, but there comes a time when a parent has to draw a line, a time when you have to protect your family's reputation from the choices of one stubborn child." I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. James squeezed my hand, but I couldn't squeeze back. "So tonight, in front of everyone who matters, I'm drawing that line." He raised his glass. "From this moment forward, Maya is no longer part of this family. She's on her own. She made her choice. Now she gets to live with it." 40 people, frozen, forks mid-air, glasses halfway to mouths. No one moved. My mother smiled, actually smiled. I looked at James. His face was pale, but his eyes were steady. He was watching me, not them, waiting for my move. I took a breath, stood up slowly. 40 pairs of eyes turned to me. My father lowered his glass, smirking. "Something to add?" I walked to the front of the room. Not fast, not slow, just steady, like I'd been walking to this moment my whole life. I reached into my clutch purse, pulled out my phone. "You know, Dad, I've been recording our conversations for 6 months." His smirk flickered. "Every call, every meeting, every time you and Mom told me I was embarrassing you, that James wasn't good enough, that I'd regret marrying outside our circle. I recorded it all." My mother's face went white. I held up my phone so everyone could see. "Want to play some highlights? Right here, right now?" The room was dead silent. You could hear the air conditioning humming. My father's hand tightened on his glass. "You wouldn't." "I've got 40 witnesses, Dad, all watching, all listening. You wanted to humiliate me in public? Fine, let's do this together." I opened an app, held my thumb over the screen. "First recording, the one where you admitted to stealing from Grandma's estate, or maybe the one where Mom said she'd wished I'd never been born. Take your pick." My mother stood up. "This is insane. You're crazy." "No, Mom, I'm done. There's a difference." I looked around the room, at all those familiar faces, at the people who watched my father destroy me and said nothing. This engagement dinner was never about celebrating me. It was about humiliating me in front of everyone you wanted to impress. So here's the thing. I'm leaving now. I'm taking James, I'm taking my recordings, and I'm taking every secret you've ever trusted me with. I walked toward the door, paused, looked back. Enjoy the rest of your dinner. I'll be in touch about the recordings. And Dad, that line you drew, you're going to wish you never picked up the pen. I took James's hand. We walked out. Behind us, 40 people sat in stunned silence, and my father's face, it was the color of ash. The parking lot was cold. I leaned against the car, shaking, while James held me. "You okay?" he whispered. "No, but I will be." We drove home in silence. My phone buzzed constantly. Texts from cousins, calls from aunts, a voicemail from my mother that started with, "How dare you?" and ended with, "You've ruined everything." I saved them all. The next morning, my lawyer called. "I've got something," Rebecca said. "Something big." I was at her office within the hour. She spread documents across her desk, bank statements, property records, tax filings. "Your parents have been hiding money for years. Offshore accounts, shell companies. The estate, they said, was bankrupt. It's worth millions. They've been siphoning funds and lying about it." I stared at the papers. "How much is there?" "In the accounts I've found so far, about 3 million, and there's more. Your grandmother's estate. They sold assets that weren't theirs to sell, forged signatures, fake documents." I sat back, tried to breathe. "Can I use this?" Rebecca smiled. "You can destroy them with this, legally, completely." I didn't call my parents. I waited. 3 days later, they called me. My mother's voice was different, soft, careful. "Sweetheart, we need to talk." "About what?" About, about the other night. Your father was wrong. He shouldn't have said those things. We want to make it right." I almost laughed. "Make it right? You disowned me in front of 40 people. You can't unsay that." "We can try. Please. Dinner tomorrow. Just us. No speeches, no crowds. Please." I thought about it. Thought about the documents on Rebecca's desk. Thought about James's face when we walked out of that ballroom. "Fine. Tomorrow. But James comes with me." A pause. Of course, both of you." We met at a restaurant, neutral ground, public enough to be safe, private enough to talk. My parents were already there when we arrived. They stood when they saw us, actually stood, like we were important. My father shook James's hand, the first time ever. "Maya," his voice was strained, "thank you for coming." I sat, said nothing. My mother ordered wine, made small talk, asked about James's job, his family, his hobbies, like she was meeting him for the first time. Halfway through dinner, my father cleared his throat. "I owe you an apology," he said. "What I did at your engagement dinner was unforgivable. I was cruel. I was wrong. I let my pride destroy the most important relationship in my life." I looked at him, really looked. For the first time, he looked old, tired, smaller. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. But I want to try to make things right, whatever that takes." I set down my fork. "You want to make things right? Tell me about the offshore accounts." His face went pale. "The ones you've been hiding for years, the money you stole from Grandma's estate, the $3 million you've been siphoning while pretending to struggle." My mother's wine glass froze halfway to her mouth. "I know everything, Dad. I have documents, bank statements, proof." Silence. My father's voice was barely a whisper. "How did you—" "It doesn't matter how. What matters is what happens next." I pulled a folder from my bag, set it on the table. "Here's my offer. You sign over half of everything to me, legally, now. You publicly apologize to James and I in front of the same people who watched you disown us, and you go to therapy, real therapy, for at least a year." My mother's eyes went wet. That's generous, considering I could destroy you with what I have." My father stared at the folder, didn't touch it. "If I don't sign, then I go public. Every recording, every document, every secret. I tell everyone who you really are, your business partners, your friends, everyone at that dinner." He picked up the folder, opened it, Read slowly. When he looked up, his eyes were different. Not angry, not defeated, something else. "I'll sign," he said quietly, "but not because you're threatening me." I blinked. Then why? "Because I looked at you tonight and realized you're stronger than I ever was, braver, better, and I'm proud of you." My mother started crying, real tears. I didn't know what to say. James reached under the table and took my hand. "Let's go home," he whispered. I nodded, stood up. At the door, I looked back. My parents sat alone at that table, small and broken, and maybe, just maybe, starting to change. I walked out. 6 months passed. The checks arrived every month. Half of everything, just like the agreement said. My parents went to therapy. My mother called occasionally, brief conversations about nothing, the weather, work, did I need anything? I kept them short but didn't hang up. My father sent letters, handwritten, apologizing again and again. Not for show this time, real words, real regret. I didn't respond, but I didn't throw them away. Then came Christmas. James and I had our own traditions now. Small apartment, homemade dinner, movies on the couch, peaceful and quiet, and ours. My phone rang Christmas morning. My mother's name. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Merry Christmas," she said softly. "Merry Christmas, Mom." A long pause. I could hear her breathing. "We're not asking to come over," she said. "I know we don't deserve that. I wanted you to know that we're thinking of you, that we love you, that we're trying." I looked at James. He raised an eyebrow. I shook my head. He nodded. "Thanks, Mom. That means something." Another pause. Then smaller. "Maybe someday?" I thought about it. About the engagement dinner. About the 40 guests. About the years of feeling small. But I also thought about the letters, the therapy, the slow, painful work of becoming better. "Maybe," I said. "Someday." We hung up. James came over, wrapped his arms around me. "You okay?" "I don't know, but I'm getting there." New Year's Eve, my parents showed up at our door. Not invited, not expected, just there, holding a bottle of wine and looking terrified. My mother spoke first. "We know we shouldn't have come. We know we don't have the right, but we couldn't let another year pass without telling you face to face." My father stepped forward. "We're sorry. We know we've said it before. We know words don't fix what we did, but we're going to keep saying it until you believe it, until we prove it." I stood in the doorway, James behind me, hand on my shoulder. "You humiliated me," I said quietly, "in front of everyone I knew. You made me feel like nothing." My mother cried. I know, and I'll never forgive myself." "I'm not asking you to forgive us," my father added. "I'm asking you to let us try. For the rest of our lives, let us try." I looked at James. He squeezed my shoulder, nodded. I stepped aside. "1 hour, then you go." They walked in, sat on our second-hand couch, looked around at our small apartment, at the life I'd built without them. My mother noticed the photos on the wall, our wedding, our friends, our life. "These are beautiful," she whispered. "They're real," I said. "That's what matters." We talked for an hour, awkward at first, then easier, then almost normal. My father asked about James's job, actually listened to the answer. My mother asked about our plans, didn't criticize. When they left, my mother hugged me, tight and real. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving us a chance." I didn't say "you're welcome." I didn't say "I forgive you." I just hugged her back. James closed the door behind them. "That was huge," he said. It was something. A year later, we had Christmas dinner together, not at their big house, at our small apartment, potluck style. My mother brought a casserole, my father brought wine. We ate, we talked, we laughed. Actually laughed. After dinner, my father pulled me aside. "I know I'll never make up for what I did," he said. "I know I'll carry that guilt forever, but I want you to know something." I waited. "I'm proud of you, not because of anything you've done, just because of who you are, who you've always been. I just couldn't see it before. I didn't cry, but I wanted to. Thanks, Dad. He nodded, went back to the others. James found me by the window. You okay? I looked at the room behind us, at my parents laughing with my husband, at the life I'd built without them, and the life we were building together. Yeah, I said. I really am. Would you have let them back in? Comment below. Can people really change, or do they just learn to hide better? Subscribe for more stories about toxic family, hard choices, and finding your own peace.